Okay, let's have a look at the center barrel. Let's see what we're actually dealing with here. Let's have a closer look. So what we've got here is some wiring that leads through to the end components. So the next part, these wires here connect to these wires here on that. Now you can cut these off and replace those with the metal wiring, lead wiring, solder wiring, anything if you want. These ones are just in between all the other parts, so we did design those in. This one here is an actual fail print. As you can see, there are, stop hitting the camera, Jared, some broken parts on here. So when you get one of these in the kit, it shouldn't have that, but we're just going to show you for simplicity on that. So what we're aiming to do is to remove the center section here so that the lug is accessible. We've got to make room by making these wider. I'll show you here. So like once they're on, that can actually go through there like that, and they would then meet up like that. So how to remove those, but we've not got that part ready to go yet. Now these components here are supports for these, so they need to come off because the actual positioning of the BRU goes in the middle here. So the BRU I think that's a reverse one. I need one that's sitting right. Yep. So what we're going to do is remove this component here. But first, so you can choose which one you want to remove first. Remove the block at the end here, or remove these here. I think it might be easier to remove the block first while these are all still in position, because you can kind of hold it without damaging them. If you've taken that, if you remove the supports here first, then you could end up in trouble. So let's give that a try. So this one's nice and simple because it's flat. So all we're going to do with this one is cut straight through it. So in this case, we'll use a decent size saw. I'm just going to, so I'm just staying flat against the bottom here. And traversing around until we're through. You can feel those breaking under my fingers as I'm doing it. So this might be another option where putting it onto a block and sawing it through would be a better way to do it. Same as we did before. So let's say we've done that. And we've got the bottom off. So once we've got that off, possibly give it a little sand smooth if you've got any dags on it. So you want that nice and flat around the edge. Let's go with something like this. Apart. Make sure this one. So what you want when you're done is a nice smooth joint around there, and you don't have to fill. If you do it flat, if you do it nicely enough, you'll get that. Okay. Once you've done that, then what we're going to do is we're going to remove these components here. So let's go back to the scalpel. So come through these ones here first. You can see I've already done those previously. Let's go on one that we haven't, so you can see that. Pressing very gently just so it goes through without kind of making a mess on the other side. That one's broken there, so I won't cut that one. The whole thing's going to come off, and then we just go back down to this end and just flat down. Now then we can just come underneath. Occasionally you may have a part that's, there we go, stuck to the component next to it. Okay, so let's see that one there. Coming on through. Again. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all, so feel free to skip ahead if you want. And the tiny offcuts, the little supports here, they're all, they make, as I said before, great little bits of detailing pieces if you want to put them into something else. It's almost like having a supply of stretched sprue. Sorry guys, a bit of a pain having that camera right next to your head. It's good for bashing into. Okay, there we go. So that takes those off there. Right, these ones along the top here, what we're going to do here is we're just going to right on the underside there. Now, you may decide to keep this in place until you are ready to connect it to the other part because of the fragility of these little things. So what you can do then is just come here with your nippers on the inside of the rings. This won't work entirely because I got a couple of broken ones to start with. But as you can see, once I've taken those all out there like that, and then make a couple of cuts outside like that. I'm going to take this component off here. Careful not to snap anything else in the meantime. That will probably get you enough space. So when you've got your next part here, that gives you a degree of protection there while you're working, and then you can come here once you've glued that on there, then come and cut these just when you're ready to glue them on. There's a degree of flexibility in there. These, when they've come out, have little tiny holes in the end to line up with, either with these wires or if you've chosen to use solder or something else. Okay, so once that's off and your end is in place, that's basically what this is looking like then. Okay, and once that is done like that, then these are in position for the BRUs to pop right in across there. So we'll come back to that. Right, let's have a look at these end bits here. Get the bits out of the way. Clear up some of this. Okay, so your end bits, as such, the two versions of them are, got one handy, without the, of course I've moved it. This is one of the ones that doesn't have the rods in it, but the end component here is exactly the same. So I'll show you how to remove that. Okay, so coming up around here, what we want to do is we want to remove these first. So we want to come in here like this. Gently push through. Stay flat to the top of this piece. Okay, once we've gone all the way around, then you're going to come in with your nippers. Cut each one. And what we should be able to do is see, if we just lever that back slightly, very, very carefully, you'll see whether or not you've cut through. Okay, and once they're all off, then we can simply come through and there we go. And the design should be that we can hopefully see, I see the tiny holes in each one of those ends there. Yep, you just about see them. And there's corresponding on the top there, yep, you just about see it there. Holes in the corresponding positions there, so that when you're using the this version here, that you've then got the holes to drill through. So I'm not kidding anyone, that's not an easy task to drill a 0.15 hole through here, through each of these components, and replace that with a metal rod. But it is doable, and the exclusive limited edition set has Albion Alloys rods in those. I've got you handy, yep. So this is where this part really comes in. So remember, if you've got this, I should remember that the drill bit is basically a free gift. It's not something you're actually paying for, so unfortunately we can't replace those if they are broken, because they're very, very fragile. But what we did was we designed this housing for travel and keeping it in. So if you very carefully rotate the drill bit out, pull it out, there you go, you've got your drill bit. Now basically these drill bits only really work without breaking if you put them in a drill press or something, because the slightest bit of unparalleled or perpendicular to your build on this will snap that off. So keep that in there. You can always get them yourself. Said it's 0.15. You can actually see here the bit in there, so that way you can look through and see whether or not it's still alive and kicking or not. Anyway, and then these are the components. So if you've got that set, you will have 8 of these rods, and then those rods will go through and connect right through there, through to the top. I'm not going to do that without on camera, it's just too delicate of a process, but I think you get the idea. Okay, and then once you've got it to that stage, removing the bottom component here is simply a matter of sawing this off like we did before. So we're just going up against it. Slow and steady. I find for something delicate like this, just drawing it in one direction as opposed to backwards and forwards just give me a greater degree of control and flatness to the whole thing. There you go, it's starting to come through now. Nearly through. And this should about do it. There we go. So once you've done that there, do that for the dust. check it against this. Now, since this is an internally printed void, and there's occasionally a little bit of an overhang there, but it should just be that simple to put it up. And there you go, the fit should be pretty much that good. So that's nice and tight on there actually. If it's too tight, you can just, basic modeling skills, work that till it fits in there perfectly. So by the time you've got that, and that's your components, the main components done. So our next step is to prepare the BRUs. We'll do that shortly, and the end plates, and then the boxes. And then lastly, the environmental control system, the ECS pipe works, the plumbing that goes around the top there. So we'll do that in the next section.